Manga one-shots are a great way to get a feel for an author's style of storytelling and artwork. They're short and sweet and often focus on a singular concept, resulting in some tightly packed, enjoyable stories you can read in a matter of minutes. I love one-shots and often talk about them on the channel and like highlighting some cool ones that get translated in the hopes that more people read them. So today we're going to go through 7 one-shots that were published in Shonen Jump or its sibling manga magazine Jump Giga. Today's selection is a lot of fun, featuring some veteran authors as well as brand new talent within the manga industry. Also, I want to go through perhaps the most erotic thing I've ever covered on the channel, which I've been waiting to read for a while, but I'll save that till the end of the video. So let's not delay any longer and cover our first one-shot. To kick things off, we have Apple, published in issue 2 of Shonen Jump 2025, with the story by Promised Neverland author Kayu Shirai and art by Yoichi Amano, who was responsible for a string of older cancelled Shonen Jump manga like Overtime, Akeboshi, and Stealth Symphony. They will also be responsible for the upcoming Metaphor Refantasio manga as well, which may interest some viewers. The pedigree of this one-shot is quite high, and from page 1, the art really draws you in. Overall, this is a really simple story though, one of justice that sees a war hero receive their comeuppance after slaughtering a village of natives. This all centers around something called God's Fountain, a spring in the far reaches of the cold east that conjures anything one wishes from it, which for the people of the area is usually food. A young boy generously shows the visiting war hero the spring, offering an apple, but is met with incredible violence instead. The actual gore and slaughter depicted here is pretty graphic for Jump standards, but it all serves to heighten the satisfaction you get when the villains are wiped off the map by Grim Reaper Apple, a serial killer who has been captured by the war hero turned president after a string of murders culling higher-ups, which the president is friends with. Apple illustrates the injustices those in power commit and the righteous forces that should rise up to combat them. It is pure unadulterated carnal satisfaction of seeing someone who fucked around finally find out. Despite being naked and unarmed, Apple manages to cut himself free and kill all the president's men and later him by drawing from the tattoos on his body, which is a really cool power that provides us with a ton of well-illustrated set pieces like anything to do with Apple using his handguns or the snake part at the end. The art here is the real treat. It's very detailed, especially the tattoos. All the characters are well designed as well. They're all different, but fit cohesively in Amano's art style. The paneling and general flow are also great, making it a blast to read. It's the definition of short but sweet, and a really thrilling one-shot. I think it's a step up from what I've seen from both the writer and the illustrator, and would love to see the two work together again after this. I highly recommend you read this one if it sounds interesting. Next up we have Gain by another Jump author and the prototype for the much-loved Green Green Greens by Kento Terasaka. This would be published in issue 7 of Weekly Shonen Jump 2022 and be about golfing, to an extent anyway. Toaru Senkanji is a hard-working high schooler who earnestly provides for his family, which is comprised of his mother and many siblings. He doesn't really have any hobbies or much notable about him, aside from the fact that he is incredibly consistent with everything he does. One day his mother collapses at work and hospital bills begin to pile up, seeing Toaru leave school and begin looking for any loans or work he can get to keep his family afloat, which is when he has a chance encounter with the pro golfer Goken Tsukio. What follows is a tense challenge set out by Tsukio that sees Toaru pick up the golf club and attempt to putt 5 balls in a row at increasing distances, with the promise of 5 million yen should he succeed in putting all 5 balls. Like a game of Russian roulette, each putt is more stressful than the last, with the odds of failure going up each time. Gain is a fitting name as well, not just alluding to the monetary theme that shrouds the work with depictions of money being all over it, but with each shot Toaru gains the experience necessary to up his consistency with the golf club, with the work heavily pushing the idea that golf is a game built upon the idea to replicate shots by calculating distances and other factors, as well as how you hit the ball, something Toaru is a natural at. I really like Gain. In some ways, I think it's more interesting than Greens in a vacuum, likely due to its simple tension-filled premise. The putting challenge is an easy way to create tension that doesn't need too much setup and can be resolved in a short amount of time. The Russian roulette comparison I made earlier was intentional too, since I've read more than a few one-shots showcasing a game of Russian roulette, Revolver Queen by Shin Mitsuhara being a good example of an older one from Jump. It's just a great way to build some kind of stake, which alongside making you care about Toaru due to his selfless nature and love for family, makes you care about the overall outcome as well. The art isn't crazy by any means. I do like Terasaka's expression work here, and there's a cleanness and almost minimalism to some page layouts, but nothing really pops out quite like Apple. The illustrations of golfing equipment like the clubs clearly show a good eye for its unique subject matter though. Just like the manga that would later be based on this, I thoroughly enjoyed it and recommend everyone try this out, as well as read Greens too. For our next one-shot, we'll be saying hello to Kento Terasaka again, but this time he's teamed up with Mikaru Sayahoshi, a rookie author with nothing major to their name yet. This was published in Jump Giga's 2025 winter edition, so for once, not a main magazine one-shot, but the author is a Jump author many would like to see back, and it's translated, so why not talk about it? First, let's start with the editor note, graciously provided by our fan scanners, letting us know that Hidari Jingoro is based on a real-world artist figure who may or may not have actually existed. This primes us for a story seeped in the arts, and one that's much slower paced and pensive than the others we'll be talking about today. The one-shot follows the titular figure Hidari Jingoro, opening and ending in historical accounts, talking about his art from a present-day perspective. You really get the sense that Terasaka is infatuated by these stories and works of Jingoro, incorporating them throughout this little one-shot, which are illustrated with a sense of wonder by Sayahoshi. This one-shot is beautiful in terms of written content, but especially in how it looks. There's a scratchiness to it, utilizing all sorts of brushstrokes and screen tones, which evoke, for a lack of a better term, a lot of artistic sensibilities to it, as well as a naturalistic side. This is only enhanced by its setting in the Japanese countryside, which frequently depicts the forest Jingoro resides in. Natural imagery, animals, plants, and trees especially act as strong motifs in this one-shot as well. Narratively, it follows Jingoro and his association with a girl who lives nearby called Osen. She greatly appreciates his art and they enjoy each other's company, but she falls ill. Jingoro provides the money necessary to treat her, but she does not get any better. It is only then that he decides to take matters into his own hands, crafting a daffodil purely from bamboo, but one that blooms when given water and sunlight, a truly magical feat of craftsmanship. The way this is illustrated and the symbolism involving the flower make this feel really special. Furthermore, I love this idea of art being made to inspire healing in someone. The materials used in the bamboo, the type of flower in the daffodil, and the depiction of the daffodil rising through the cold harsh snow all build into this idea of pushing through your illness. It's very simple but sweet and promotes the importance of art, of how it can evoke all sorts of things, including very raw feelings. I also love the detail that the two were going to go out to see a flower blooming ceremony but then couldn't due to Osen's illness, but instead Jingoro brought that to Osen through his artwork. In a way, even if the daffodil didn't really bloom for real, that's still a very magical act to construct something, to make something and just bring it to Osen instead of them going somewhere else. It's the portability of feeling and experience. That's what art can be sometimes, and I just think that's a very magical thing to depict. This is such a lovely one-shot that feels very fully formed, wrapping itself up in history and art to tell a simple but rich story. I really look forward to seeing what both do next. Tate Roll by Natsuki Osone would be published in issue 34 of Shonen Jump in 2023. This is a one-shot with a lot of fanfare behind it that I see get mentioned from time to time. It follows a young aristocratic lady going by the pseudonym Tate Roll, which is named after a very specific hairstyle associated with aristocracy and cute anime girls. It's a hairstyle she has as well. Furthermore, she uses her hair to do battle with various Yakuza gangs which threaten to take over the area she looks over. The one-shot plot-wise is very simple, with Tate Roll being introduced, fighting back a rival gang, and then bringing its leader into servitude, which he's done to all other rival gangs. The one-shot then acts as more of a character study, building up the character of Tate Roll, initially being a slightly goofy, if bratty rich girl, to then be a dependable lady who everyone adores. I'm not sure this aspect is conveyed super well, we're only shown glimpses of her helping others, so the ending doesn't quite hit with the intended impact for me. I do like the idea overall, it's a lot of fun, and some of the art really breathes life into this one-shot. There's a lot of fun panels, especially in the action scenes, although I do find its quality is a bit all over the place, with some expressions and side characters looking pretty rough. It's odd as well since the other one-shot from a similar period, Upano Rupako wa Ipanjin, looks a lot more consistent and is a greater showcase of how fun and dynamic that art can be. I definitely understand the hype surrounding this one, but I think it was right for Jump to let them cook a bit more on new one-shots before really testing them with the series. Still, I'm looking forward to the day where Natsuki Osone is serialized within the magazine. Issue 40 of Shonen Jump 2024 would see Zombie John by Shinosuke Tojo be published. A little shorter than the other one-shots we've covered so far, this one is about a zombie for hire who will do odd jobs at the price of acquiring a body part. I think by far this is the roughest one-shot of the video, with it having okay art. Its premise, while being kind of interesting, doesn't feel executed all that well, but I still had fun with it. I guess zombie characters are in now, like Andy from Undead Unluck. They have a inherent fun quality to them, with how they can be super reckless with their physical forms. Here, Zombie John takes out some scummy arm dealer who was going to kill their fake kidnapped daughter, with John being sent by the real father at the cost of their hand. The implementation of John's backstory at the end is a bit messy, and I feel it had a lack of impact, especially when the main villain brings a minigun out and riddles John with holes, except you don't really see any holes. It's quite lackluster for a minigun kind of shootout scene. Still, I look forward to whatever the author creates in the future. Doku Doku would debut an issue earlier in issue 39 of 2024, featuring a high-class writer-author duo, with the story being by Koji Miura, who serializes Blue Box within Weekly Shonen Jump, and with art by Kento Matsura, who you may know for doing the art for Phantom Seer or Tokyo Shinobi Squad. We also covered another one-shot by them and their usual writing partner in a previous one-shot video, Kamen Kitanteo. This one-shot though is the shortest of the bunch today, coming in at only 20 pages and being about two college students, Yoshida and Komiyama, who live in apartments next to each other. I found this to be a really realistic portrayal of university or college life, really sinking into the atmosphere of small apartments and late nights working on projects. It's amazing how well realized this work is, despite being so short. The crux of the one-shot is the blooming romance between the two characters, a writer and artist, but both students, who walk a similar path and at one point finish their work in the early hours of the morning at the same time, where they then go out to their balconies and muse over the world waking up and becoming alive. This is where the one-shot's namesake comes from, the heartbeat of the world as viewed in the early morning. Doku Doku, ba-bump ba-bump, like a heartbeat. The one-shot is then capped off by Yoshida visiting an exhibition that holds a painting of Komiyama's, named Heartbeat, a beautiful artistic representation of the world, their little shared neighborhood as it wakes up, the neighborhood's very own heartbeat. Enamored by this painting, it prompts Yoshida to ask her out. I really resonate with this one. It's such a clear vision and it's very sensory. It delves into things like Yoshida's cooking, it mentions smells of food or paint. We get to see different times of the day, the sun rising and the nights the students work through, and it conveys all of these very specific feelings really well. It helps I haven't long finished university, so those memories I have, even if they aren't as idealized as this, are still fresh in my mind. So this feels very personal in a way to me. I didn't have the greatest time as a university student, but that time alone in a small room, being awake at times nobody else was, cooking or painting alone, seeing the sun rise, it's all very ethereal, and I think this one-shot captures that perfectly, especially with all of its beautiful artwork. And finally, we reach our last one-shot for the day, and now that all the normal people have probably gone off this video, I have a special treat for any freaks out there watching, because we're going to be looking at The Great Demon Lord is Sweating by Kento Amamiya. This would be their redemption after serializing Shadow Eliminators in Weekly Shonen Jump to absolutely no fanfare. However, unlike most one-shots we're looking at today, this wasn't serialized within the main magazine, but Jump Giga's Autumn 2024 issue. It follows the Demon Lord Nora Nightbell as she descends on humanity, intent on bending the entire race to her will. And yet, she finds herself in a humble Japanese bathhouse, run by the hardworking Tamao Chigiri, who isn't at all bothered by her and her companion, Benjamin. While initially she isn't too interested in the bathhouse, the lingering sensation of dipping her toes into the bathwater earlier and her sweat-covered body compel her to return. There's an erotic fascination with bathing here, which makes sense since this is an erotic one-shot which really focuses in on sweat fetishization and the relaxing feelings that come from taking a nice bath. This is all depicted wonderfully with some sexually charged art from Amamiya. Nora's expressions are delightful and you could easily confuse them with something out of a hentai doujinshi. What I really like about it though is it's very pure in its clear love for its subject matter, both in being an erotic work and in promoting the relaxing benefits of a nice bath. It's funny, it's cute when it wants to be as well, and understands fully the people who want to read something like this. Degenerates who like overbearing women who tell them what to do. You'll know based on the description if this is for you or not, but without a doubt it is for me. Unabashedly, I will say, this one-shot was the one I was looking forward to the most, and it didn't disappoint me, having some great art which suits Amamiya's newfound strength in drawing sweaty demon girls. As well as this, its steamy, relaxing bath vibes are pretty unparalleled. If this was to be serialized within the main Weekly Shonen Jump magazine, I'd be pretty darn happy to read this every single week. And those were 7 one-shots from Weekly Shonen Jump or its surrounding side magazines. Mostly newer ones from the last year, but they all showcase some of the magazine's greatest current talent as well as some hot-blooded newbies. It's always a blast reading these one-shots and seeing what artists are doing while in between serializations. And compiling them like this always makes for a fun and more relaxing video making experience for me while I'm in between bigger projects. So if you like this video, please let me know. Subscribe for more, and you can even recommend me one-shots in the comments if you'd like, and I might read them and feature them in a future one-shot video. The current ones I usually read come from the Scanlation group Project Vinland, where Melons, Yellowtail, and Brilliant diligently translate clean and put out all of these so we can read them. So a big thank you to all of those cool people. Please check out all the one-shots I've mentioned today as well, which I'll leave links to in the description so you can read them at your leisure. As well as all of this, I have a few more videos tackling one-shots on the channel if you'd like more of this type of video. This includes my last one, where I go over the newest Golden Future Cup, a Shonen Jump one-shot competition that sees them try to find a new hit manga for the magazine. I also have videos going over Shonen Jump's cancelled manga generally, as well as its history as a magazine, where I go through the entire magazine's history year by year. I also just have videos on manga generally on the channel if you're interested in stuff like that, so stick around. Also, if you really enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It helps a ton and pushes me to make better videos. You'll also get some neat perks like voting on polls, access to a Patreon-only podcast, and at the $3 tier, you'll get a unique doodle like the following cool people: Kinocha, Jade, Kaizoku Gairu, Soraquil Zero, Holly the Apothecary, Mayu, It's Fakeo, Yellowtail, Lay Sloggett, Chris P. Bacon, Cho Henshin, Full Metal, Unquestionable, Weeby Boy, Wurzel, Balant, Cactus, Joni, City Name E, Vino Burrito, and also AB, Vaco Draws, Otaku Gamer X, Deadpan, Shy Monkeys, Jonathan Dragonet, and John Sanford at the $1 tier. Thank you all so much for being patrons, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to be kind and take care.